Hello, this video is about the 5 themes that you will find in the ELA ELD framework that will help you for your Cycle 2 CalTPA, the literacy cycle. During step 1, when you are writing your lesson plans in your learning segment, you need to include foundational skills, which is one of the 5 themes, and at least one additional theme. So you'll see I have the template open here for the learning segment. And in the beginning, you need to explain which foundational reading skills that you will include within your lesson plans. And then you also need to describe the additional theme or themes that you are including throughout your learning segment. In addition, when you go to each individual lesson plan template, you will see it will ask you how you are providing that direct and explicit approach to teaching foundational skills. And that will show up on each lesson. Now, you won't necessarily be teaching foundational skills in every lesson, and it's okay to put NA if you are not. And then I also wanted to point out the rubric. So the rubric 2.2 for this first step, you'll see right here in the middle, level 3, which is what we're shooting for. It talks about you clearly planning for foundational skills. And also right underneath, you have to clearly plan for at least one additional theme within your learning segment. If you don't do that at all, it'll bring you down to a 1. So one of the mistakes that I see are not fully understanding what foundational skills are and what's included under that umbrella and what are the other themes. You have to have a really good understanding of all 5 themes in order to use them correctly in your learning segment. So I want to spend the rest of the time going over what those 5 themes are. Okay, again, this is from the California ELA ELD Framework. You should be very familiar with this document. So the 5 themes are the blue bubbles here: meaning making, language development, effective expression, content knowledge, and foundational skills. I want to go through each one. And we'll start with the big one. So remember, foundational skills is a must. You have to include this somewhere within your 3 lessons. You can include it in each one, or you can just have one of the lessons focus solely on foundational skills. That's up to you. But what are they? So they are the early literacy skills that are necessary to be able to read. The standards that you will find, your Common Core standards, are usually the RF, the Reading for Foundational Standards. And these skills include print concepts, phonological awareness or phonemic awareness, phonics, decoding, word recognition, sight words, spelling, and fluency. That's it. So don't get that confused with other skills that we'll go over for the other themes. So foundational skills is a must. You must cover one of these topics within your learning segment. The next one is meaning making. So this is the central purpose for interacting with text. We want to be able to understand and what we're reading comprehension, right? So the main standards for meaning making are the RL, reading literary works, or reading informational text, RI. Think about your basic reading comprehension skills. So everything from, the overarching literal and inferential comprehension, main idea and details, all the literary elements like a plot, a setting, conflict, all of those. Compare and contrast, inferences, predictions, summarizing, point of view, making connections, analyzing text. This isn't all of them, but this is a big chunk of them. So it's reading comprehension is your meaning making theme. The next theme is language development. So we develop our language as we're learning new content, as we're reading, as we have conversations with teachers and classmates. All of that develops our language. It can encompass all of the standards, but it's particularly the language standard. And so it's the capital L in our Common Core. These skills include, it's mainly vocabulary. So that's the most simplest and direct way to cover language development is a vocabulary lesson. So these skills are determined meaning of words. We cover figurative language, academic vocabulary, academic language are part of it. Analyzing word parts, cognates, and then grammatical structures, which is the way your text is organized. So those would be considered parts of the language development theme. The next theme is effective expression. This is expressing what you've learned or information through writing or speaking. So think about presentations and things like that. So these standards typically include your speaking and listening standards, your SL, and your writing standards. So these skills include genre writing, right? So you're writing arguments or explanatory essays, research, narratives, and then also the writing process, planning, revising, editing, publishing, language conventions such as capitalization, periods, that kind of thing. Informal discussions, so collaborative conversations, Socratic seminars, academic conversations, and then, of course, any kind of formal speeches, your presentations, your debates. All of that would be effective expression. And then content knowledge is the last theme. This is when you're using literacy skills, so reading, writing, listening, and speaking, to acquire, construct, or convey knowledge. Basically, you're learning about a topic. So you find this theme more in a content area such as social studies or science or math. So really, it can include all literacy standards depending on what you're doing to learn about a topic. Are you writing about it? Are you reading about it? Are you learning new vocabulary? So it can really include all of the literacy standards. What makes this different from the other themes is that it's very specific towards using those skills in a content area to learn that content. So some of the skills might include reading content-specific texts, inquiry and project-based learning, demonstrations, hands-on experiences, labs. You're reading, you're writing, you're listening, all to learn about this concept. Any kind of research or report writing. So that is the fifth theme. Okay, so I hope this helped you. Again, you must include foundational skills